100 Days of Hardcore Minecraft. It's essentially become a genre on YouTube at this point, and it's pretty popular. Like, really popular, actually. I think the draw for watching these videos is learning new strategies and seeing the different playstyles people have, and also watching the real intense near-death moments that get you on the edge of your seat. So you might be wondering, Cornchip, why are you making a 100 Days video? How is yours different from all of the other ones out there? And I'm glad you asked. My 100 days are different from everything else out there because I'm a total noob. That's right, you guys. I'm going to be trying to survive 100 days in hardcore Minecraft, despite being pretty inexperienced with the game. I've played it on and off pretty casually since its release, but I've never even defeated the Ender Dragon before. I haven't really done enchanting stuff, I don't know how to do redstone, I haven't played much of the new Nether or the Caves and Cliffs stuff that's come out. I could go on forever about my lack of Minecraft experience. My main goal is going to be survival. I want to survive 100 days with only the knowledge I have right now, so I won't be looking at the Minecraft wiki or looking at any kind of guides. Additionally, I would love to defeat the Ender Dragon since I've never done it before, but that's just an optional goal, not a priority. Will I succeed? Will I fail? You're about to find out, because it's time for me to get started. On day 1, after generating my hardcore world, I immediately began to gather some wood. I might be a noob, but even I know wood is essential. I mean, Minecraft without wood is like pizza without pineapple, am I right? I don't actually like pineapple on pizza, please don't come after me. After gathering some wood, I made some tools, grabbed some nearby sugarcane, nearly drowned myself grabbing coal, and continued to collect more wood. Once my thirst for wood was satisfied, I started to look around a bit and came across a cave. The coal was looking pretty nice until I heard the sound of a zombie and got a bit scared. But like the brave little noob I am, I immediately ran away from the cave. As I neared the middle of my first day, I found a pretty open area and decided that this was where I wanted to live, so I began to clear and level it out. It was only midday at this point, so I had plenty of time to— oh my god, the sun is setting and I haven't even built a shelter yet. I looked around in a panic, although apparently not panicked enough to sprint, before I started slapping down some blocks. But I realized I wasn't going to be able to finish my shelter in time, so I made a bed as quickly as I could and slapped it down for my first sleep in this new world. On day 2, I tore down my panicked foundation build before I continued to level out the area around me. It ended up taking way more time than I thought it would, and before I knew it, the sun was setting on my second day and I still didn't even have a house. And while I really don't want to keep sleeping through all my nights, I once again threw the bed down for yet another snooze. Now it's day 3, and I decided that I should just make a shelter that really reflects me and the current skill level I'm at, so I make a dirt shack. I mean, I'm going to be out here for 100 days, so I can always make a better house later on. I hunt for more food while the sun is out, and have an embarrassingly hard time killing a chicken. If this is a sign of how the 100 days will go, it's not looking so good. Once night came around, I started digging myself a mine in the dirt shack. I managed to get some more coal and I start collecting some iron. I also find a block of emerald, which forces me to go smelt my iron so I can make a pickaxe that can actually get the emerald. At least, I didn't think stone could mine emerald and I really didn't want to risk it. I'm able to make myself a shield and a bucket too, but most importantly, I'm able to get that emerald, baby! On day 4, I go exploring the world since I haven't really done much of that so far. I'm hoping I can find a village somewhere close by. I spent all day running around, but I didn't find a village or really anything interesting around me. Once the sun went down and mobs started spawning, I realized that I was actually hopelessly lost. I spent the night running away from all manner of things that want to kill me, while trying to find anything that looked familiar, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. As the sun rises on day 5, I'm still lost and confused, and I'm also getting hungry because I ran out of food. I continued to run around in a bit of a panic until I found some despawning leaves and a fresh sapling drop, which meant that I'd been here before. Now that I knew I was on the right track, things were actually starting to look a little bit familiar to me. It isn't too long after I find some familiarity until I spot my ugly dirt shack. I spent the rest of my day mining. I find a cave with blocks I'm not entirely familiar with, but more importantly, I find my first diamonds just right out in the open. I quickly dug up all 8 of them, which is pretty lucky, I think. I also find what looks like a mine shaft, but I don't really pursue exploring it because I'm a scared little baby. I also fight my first enderman, and he actually drops a pearl for me. Again, lucky me. Once I'm back in my dirt shack, I craft a diamond pickaxe and diamond sword, and I think that, maybe I'm not doing too bad after all. On day 6, I head out to explore again after making sure I won't get lost this time, because I still really wanted to find a village. Wait a second, you guys weren't supposed to see this part, just look away for a second. Cut the video, cut it! My second village hunt was unsuccessful, so I explored a cave for the rest of the night. It's actually pretty uneventful, but I collected a decent amount of iron, so I wasn't complaining. Day 7, I emerge from underground and head home. I smelt up all the iron I collected from the cave, and I'm able to craft myself a full set of iron armor. Not bad, right? I make myself some more tools and head into my mine to take a look at the mine shaft I found earlier. I find a chest with some goodies inside, and a name tag, which I'm actually pretty excited to find. After looting the chest, I chicken out of exploring the mine shaft any further for now, and explore the cave some more. I find a wall of cobblestone that wasn't my doing, so I know that it has to be a spawner room of some sort. I take a peek inside, and sure enough, I find a spider spawner. Even though I'm arachnophobic, I know that this can be extremely useful, so I start to clear out a lot of the area around the room. I also check out the loot that the spiders are guarding, which is mainly just some gold and a saddle in the first chest, and some food, another name tag, and a multi-shot book in the other. Once my inventory fills up, I head back to my dirt shack, dump a lot of my items out, and realize that it's day 8. I head into a nearby cave looking to grab some more iron. I realize that I need to make an anvil if I want to make use of the name tags I've picked up, and an anvil needs a good bit of iron to craft. After getting enough iron, I head back outside and grab some seeds. With the seeds, I lure a chicken into my dirt shack as the first step in one of my shoutouts. You see, in no particular order, there are 2 people I really want to recognize while doing my 100 days of hardcore Minecraft. And the first one that involves this chicken is PaulGG. His 100 days in an ocean world video is the first 100 days type of video I ever watched. And aside from that, he just uploads some spicy Minecraft content in general. So, in honor of Paul, I make a name tag with the name Chickpea, as a reference to his chickpea in his 100 days in an ocean world. And then I realized I shouldn't just flat out copy him, so I changed it to ChickpeaGG. Satisfied with my new chicken buddy, I go to sleep to keep the phantoms away. Day 9, now that I had a roommate and friend, I needed a better house. The dirt shack had been a great shelter for me, but it was about time for an upgrade. I leveled out more of the land before tearing down some of the dirt shack. Little did I know I would come to regret this decision later. I then began building my new home out of wood, because it's at least better than dirt. I don't actually finish my new home before the sun sets, so I hide in my mine to escape the dark. I gather up whatever small amount of courage I have to take a look at the mine shaft again. I dig into what I assume is a cave spider room and have a pretty terrible time dealing with just one of them, so I decide to leave the mine shaft alone for now. Poison is no joke in hardcore Minecraft after all. On day 10, under the safety of the sun, I continued to work on my new house. Before long, I finished what I like to call the wood cube. It's really not much better than a dirt shack, but that's okay. If it isn't obvious at this point, I really suck at building in Minecraft. Speaking of the dirt shack though, I also tore it down completely today. And that's when I realized that I have absolutely no idea where ChickpeaGG is. I begin to look around for my friend, but I'm only able to find imposters. I don't have any luck finding him before the sun sets, so I quickly run to my new home for a quick sleep so I can hunt for my friend more safely. I spent all of day 11 looking for ChickpeaGG, and spoiler alert, I never found him. This is why I said I would regret it when I tore down one of the walls of the dirt shack earlier, because it led to ChickpeaGG running away. I genuinely tried to look all over the surrounding area, but I had no luck finding the little guy. Since he was a named mob, he shouldn't have been able to despawn, so I can only assume he ended up dying somehow. Like and subscribe to pay respects to ChickpeaGG. He will be missed. On day 12, I began my next shoutout, even though I just lost the one to PaulGG. I started to build a wall all around my base. And I'm not doing this for anything silly like safety. I mean, don't be ridiculous. I'm doing it as a shoutout to Luke TheNotable. Luke is another fantastic creator on the platform, and he's the first person to ever do the 100 Days of Hardcore Minecraft kind of video. He pioneered this entire genre, so I can't not shout him out. He's also working on like 3,000 days at this point, which is just so insane, so please go check him out. Once I finish walling the entire perimeter, I add the finishing touches with a sign. It might not be notable enough to compare to Luke, but it's still a work in progress. I spend the rest of the night working on my land, doing some more leveling, and beefing up my wall to keep me as safe as possible. I also make some windows for my wood cube, which makes it a little less ugly, I think. Day 13, I go out exploring for a village again, since it's been a while since my last attempt at finding one. At least, that was my original plan, but I end up getting distracted by mining some obsidian. I don't really know when I'll try to brave the nether, but I know I'll need obsidian to make a portal later on. Thanks to my little detour, I don't really get much exploring done while the sun is still up. At night, I return home to see that mobs can spawn on my roof. Oops. So I go to hide in my mine as usual. I managed to find some sort of amethyst biome thing. I don't really know what it is, but I go ahead and grab some of the crystals. I have no clue what they do, but they look pretty, so I had to have them. Day 14, I get on top of my house and build a roof to prevent the mob spawning problem I had happen the other day. I'm pretty sure I break my legs during this. But don't worry, I eventually crouch. And no, I have no idea why I wasn't just doing that from the start. It takes me way longer than it should, but I finish the roof at night. Then I start to work on a farm, so I can feed myself or maybe trade with villagers in the future. I plant all the seeds that I have and leave them to do their growing. On day 15, I decide to once again explore in hopes of finding a village. It takes me most of the day, but I do eventually find one. It's pretty far from home, but I'll take what I can get. I go ahead and help myself to all of their hay bales and whatever else they have lying around in their houses. They even have a diamond for me, which is just so kind of them to allow me to totally not steal it. I also grab some other vegetables from their farm that I can bring back home to grow myself. Day 16, I finish looting the village of all their valuables. I mean, I'm sure they didn't need any of it. Once I've picked it all clean, I make the long trek back home. I arrive as the sun sets and head into my mine for the night to search for more diamonds. Surprisingly, I actually managed to find some and added another 6 diamonds to my collection. Later on, I dig into a small cave and find even more diamonds. This time there's 5 blocks, which means I managed to get 11 diamonds on this trip, which I'm pretty happy about. On day 17, I risk heading out into the rain in hopes of bringing some animals back home. I managed to find 4 cows near each other and lure them back home with some tasty wheat. I get them into my base as the sun starts to set. Seriously, I have no idea why I always seem to make it to my base as the sun's setting. It's kinda weird. I let the cows roam around at night and start to dig out a basement underneath the wood cube. I plan on making this room my enchanting room. Once I finish digging out the room, I grab a couple diamonds in my obsidian, craft a book, and make my enchanting table. I don't really know how many bookshelves are needed to fully boost my enchantments, but I was only able to make 1 bookshelf anyway, so I guess I'll figure that out later. Day 18 I spent working on my home. I put down some fences to make an animal pen and wrangled my cows inside. Once I get them all inside their pen, I feed them some wheat to let them do their thing. I do some more leveling as well, and making my wall more notable. In fact, I spend all night just leveling out my base, shaving dirt off of the higher areas and filling dirt in the lower areas. On day 19, I made my new farm. It's not anything special, but it's mine and it gets the job done. After finishing up my new farm, I grab my obsidian and make a bridge to the nearby mountain where I want to make my nether portal. There's not a specific reason that I'm putting it there, I just kinda think it'll look cool there. I put the pieces in place, equip my flint and steel, and light that bad boy up. However, I'm too scared to go in for now, so it'll just sit there looking all cool and mysterious for the time being. At night, I continue building up my wall, because if I can see the mobs, they can see me, and I'm tired of being peeped on while I'm minding my own business. I also built a second animal pen even though I don't have any animals for it at the moment. On day 20, I start with my daily chores, like feeding the cows and farming. Then I decided to finally check out the nether. The spawn seems okay, but there are so many trees it's hard to see much of anything around me. Then an angry piglin reminds me that I didn't come in wearing any gold, so I put him down and get out of there immediately. And that's about all the nether exploration I have in me right now. I spend the rest of the day working on my base. I make the path to my nether portal a little nicer and add walls to the bridge so I don't fall off. I also started working on a new bridge over to a nearby mountain. I don't really like having trees in my main home area, so I want to make a tree farm over there instead. I work well into the night, chopping down trees and leveling out my land some more until the strict parents of Minecraft tell me it's time for bed. I'm talking about phantoms if that's not clear. But I was always taught to listen to my parents, so I ran inside and went to sleep. I start day 21 by watching my strict parent die in the sunlight. Oh, that's kinda dark. Maybe I shouldn't call phantoms my parents anymore. I use this day to work more on my base, doing some more leveling and strengthening my walls. I also put some slabs down so I don't even have to jump to get around anymore. With my base reaching a point I'm pretty happy with and the sun setting, I head back into my mine. I spent all of day 22 mining and cave exploring. I didn't find any diamonds this time, but I did find a lot of basically everything else, so it was still a pretty productive day. On day 23, I continued to work on my tree farm. I finished building the bridge over to the area I plan on making it and got to work leveling the area. At night, I craft up some stairs and put them in my mine, so it's much less of a hassle to move up and down the mine shaft when I want to go digging. Day 24, I'm back at the tree farm. I spent the day doing more leveling, as usual, and I started to outline my future tree farm with some walls. I hope I'm making Luke proud. At night, I cut down the cow population a bit. I still need bookshelves for my enchantment room, so I really need their leather. Before the night was over, I decided to check out the nether again, and this time I had on some golden booties so the piglins wouldn't be mad at me. I'm not in there for very long before I decide that this spawn actually kinda sucks. I just seem to be on a floating landmass with nothing nearby, and all the trees make it hard to see what's close to me. It would be pretty easy for mobs to get the jump on me in this area, so I guess I'll just have to build a new portal somewhere else. I start day 25 by getting some more obsidian. I know I could just take my current nether portal apart, but I like how it looks, so I really just want to leave it there. I then find a group of chickens and lead them to their new home with me. Hopefully they don't find out about PaulGG. I bring them into the second animal pen I made a while ago, except for one. I bring the lone chicken into my home and make a name tag for PaulGG2. I may have lost the first one, but I still want to have a living chicken to shout out PaulGG. Paul, I highly doubt you'll ever watch this, but if you are, I'm sorry I lost the first PaulGG, but I hope number 2 is just as good. I spent the night farming my sugarcane to make paper for more bookshelves, and farming the other crops for food. On day 26, it's tree farm time once again. I continue to place down some walls and level things out how I want it. I also finally planted some saplings in my tree farm, you know, like you're supposed to do in a tree farm. I don't get it finished yet, but I make some decent progress at least. At night, I hop into my mine, as I tend to do fairly often. For the most part, it's uneventful, other than the fact that I found 8 more diamonds, baby! Woo! Day 27, you might have guessed it, I'm working on the tree farm some more. I still don't manage to finish it, but slow and steady wins the race, I guess. I spent the night clearing out the area around that spider spawner I found quite a while ago. I'm hoping I can turn it into an experience farm, even if it might not be a very efficient one. On days 28 and 29, I work on making the spider farm. And let me just say, it's embarrassing how easily scared I am. I've never made anything like this before, and as I said at the beginning, I won't be using any guides or the wiki or anything to help me out in my 100 days. But once I reach day 30, I have a farm that kind of works. It's not the most efficient farm in the world. The spiders like to climb on things and get stuck a lot. Plus, I'm in the middle of a random spot in the ground, so there are probably mobs spawning in the same chunk all over the place, which means less spiders for me. I do manage to break the cave spider spawner in the nearby mineshaft though, so that probably helps a little bit at least. On day 31, I grab my obsidian and make sure I move much further away before making another portal. Once I feel like I've run far enough this time, I slap down the obsidian blocks and light that sucker up. This time I get pretty lucky, because I'm able to see a nether fortress basically right next to the portal. I know I need to get some blaze rods to be able to find the stronghold, and I also know they're used for making potions. I don't really know anything about the whole potion making process, but either way, blaze rods are incredibly useful, so I need them. Even though I'm pretty scared to death of the nether, I suck it up and make my way into the fortress. The spawn is actually pretty OP though, because I really don't have to go far to find a blaze spawner. Literally, it's just up the very first staircase I find. I don't really go in with much of a strategy other than just don't die. Although I do get pretty close at 1.5 hearts at one point. I managed to get 5 blaze rods before I start feeling overwhelmed and leave. On day 32, I realize I only need 3 more diamonds to make a full set of armor. I'm able to make the helmet, chestplate, and leggings, but need just a little bit more for the diamond kicks. So I spend the next 3 days in my mine on a hunt for just 3 more diamonds. Surely I can get that pretty easily, right? Well, unfortunately no, that's not right. Even though I spent 3 days underground, I didn't find a single diamond. I guess my luck had just run out at this point. On day 35, I take a break from hunting for the elusive diamonds and work some more on my tree farm. It took me way longer than it really should have, but I finally finished surrounding the area with walls. At night, I finally make use of my enchanting table by trying it out on a book. It offers infinity, so I don't miss that chance since an infinity bow should be incredibly helpful. I then see what enchants are available for my diamond pickaxe and get efficiency 4. Days 36 through 42. Yeah, this takes me a long time. I take a trip back to the only village I'd been able to find so far. I want to bring a villager back to my base so I'm less lonely, but more importantly so I have someone to trade with. I know I need more than just one villager if I want to be able to breed them, but I'm just taking it one step at a time right now. However, because I'm a noob, I don't really know what the most efficient strategies are for moving villagers around. I end up going with keeping them in a boat and rowing them back home, and it's a painfully slow process. Boats can't move up blocks, so I constantly had to make paths that were on the same level as the villager or lower. Another frustrating thing is whenever I had to break the boat, the villager really liked wandering off. So yeah, all this made for a horrible and slow experience, but finally, on day 43, I made it home with my new villager pal. Because of all the pain he caused me, I make a dirt shack once again, but this time it's for the villager to stay in. Once I finish building him his fancy new home, I give him a job as a librarian so he'll offer me enchanted books. And there's one in particular I'm looking out for. It takes me all night breaking this stupid lectern over and over again, before he finally offers me mending. Now I just have to get a bunch of emeralds. Day 44, I realized I'm going to need a lot of experience to apply the mending books, and enchantments in general, so I began working on a mob grinder. I made a farm in my mind with a spider spawner, but it didn't really seem that great. I start this build up high, so there's hopefully less spawning going on below me, and more spawning happening at the grinder. And honestly, I probably should have gone even higher than what I did. I mainly accomplished laying out a foundation as well as the chests and hoppers to grab all the loot from me when this thing is finished. On days 45 through 48, I continue building my mob grinder. I know some of you might be thinking, how in the world does it take that long to build a mob grinder? And the answer is, well, first off, I'm a noob, as you guys know. But a lot of the time was actually just spent getting more building materials, and then doing adjustments to the grinder because the mobs kept dying as they landed at the bottom. But finally, on day 49, I had my mob grinder at a state I was happy with. Well, happy enough to consider it finished at least. Some of the mobs were still dying as they landed, but it wasn't happening that often and I was honestly just tired of messing with it at this point. All my time spent on the mob grinder got me back up to level 30. So on day 50, I go and enchant my diamond leggings with protection 3 and also get unbreaking 3. When the sun is out, I run around the general area placing torches down randomly. If I can cut down on the mobs spawning around at night, it should help more things spawn at my mob grinder instead. And once the sun goes down, I climb right back up to my mob grinder. I start the night at level 28, as you can see, and end like halfway through 29, so it's really not an amazing farm, but at least it's something. I put mending on my diamond sword to start day 51. I haven't really mentioned it at this point, but I've regularly been harvesting my sugarcane to make paper and trade with my librarian, and was able to trade for 1 mending book so far. With my improved sword in hand, I finally head back to the nether. I run back to the blaze spawner and grab 6 more rods before leaving the fortress. I then get a couple piglins in a hole to start doing some trades. With only 2 piglins in there to take my gold, the trading takes a long time, but when they're finished, I end up with 12 pearls and a bunch of other blocks and junk. With these 12 pearls and the one I managed to get from an enderman early on, I should have enough to find the stronghold later on. I spent day 52 farming. I'm going to need a lot of emeralds and a lot of experience to put mending on all my armor and equipment, but that's something I really want to have on everything, so I don't have to worry about things breaking on me. I also ran around placing more torches in the area around my base. I don't really know if it's helped out with my mob grinder at all, but I commit to doing it anyway. Even if it hasn't been helping out my mob grinder, I like having the surrounding area lit up. On day 53, I went back underground on a hunt for diamonds once again. I still only needed 3 more to make diamond boots and finish my armor set. I didn't have any luck last time I tried to find some, but I was hoping the Minecraft gods would bless me today. And they do, because I'm able to find... Wait, is that it? Just 1 diamond? You're actually joking me right now. I don't whine for too much longer though, because I spot more diamonds later on, and this time there's 5. Thank goodness. Once I get home, I craft my diamond booties and also make a diamond shovel since I had the diamonds to spare. And since I'm at level 30 again, I also get protection 4 on my chest plate. Day 54, I spent AFKing at the mob grinder. Yep, that's really all there is here. I just farmed experience. On day 55, I expanded my sugarcane farm. I wanted to start growing a lot more sugarcane so I could make more paper to trade with my librarian more often. I also enchant my diamond shovel with efficiency 4 since I had the experience to do so. On day 56, I finished getting sugarcane planted at my new farm. I used the rest of my time while the sun was out to place more torches all over the area. At night, I go back to my mob grinder. It might not be spitting out that many mobs for me, but it's enough to get me back to level 30 again. I get protection 4 on my diamond boots, and get a free unbreaking 3 for my troubles. The only thing I have left to enchant now is my helmet, and also getting mending on basically everything. Day 57, I chill at the mob grinder in the morning, and realize that it seems to work much better during the day. Thanks to that, I'm able to get to level 30 again pretty dang fast. I tap out at level 31 and head home to grab my diamond helmet, slap it on my enchantment table, and get protection 3, and that's all it gave me. Since all I have left is getting mending on everything, I get back to sugarcane farming until the strict Minecraft parents tell me to go to bed. I also tested bone meal on sugarcane to see if it would grow, and yeah, it doesn't work. On day 58, I craft 13 Eyes of Ender, for some reason. Honestly, I don't remember why I did that, because I had no plans to try to hunt down the stronghold yet. Then I headed to the beach to grab some sand. I need sand to be able to make TNT, and I've been getting a decent amount of gunpowder thanks to my mob grinder. While I've never dealt with netherite before, I know you need to find some sort of blocks that drop ancient debris or something like that, and apparently TNT is a great way to find them, because those blocks aren't affected by TNT. Once I get home, I'm able to make 21 blocks of TNT, which doesn't feel like a whole lot, but it's better than nothing. At night, I'm back to sugarcane farming. It's basically all I do in my free time now. I do, however, manage to get another ender pearl the old-fashioned way. I shouldn't need it, but it certainly won't hurt to have. Day 59, I go into the nether, equipped with the TNT I made. I try to dig down into an area that's completely surrounded by blocks. Once I feel satisfied with my spot, I dig myself a hallway and start putting down some of my TNT, and then I light it up. I actually managed to uncover 2 of the ancient debris blocks with my first line of TNT, so that worked out pretty well. I used my other 14 blocks of TNT to try to find more, but I am unfortunately not that lucky. On day 60, I cook up my ancient debris to get 2 netherite scraps. Now that I can see the recipe for netherite ingots, I realize I need 4 scraps to make 1. I didn't plan on going back to the nether anytime soon, so netherite was not going to be happening for now. On a lot of these days, I've just been farming mobs or sugarcane for emeralds, so on day 61, I go out and explore again to switch things up. Even though I've lived through 60 days, I really haven't looked around the surrounding area that much. I find a lot of bees flying around with no hive in sight. I don't know much about Minecraft bees, but I would assume they need a hive nearby, so I thought that was kind of weird. I also find another village which is much closer to my base than the other one I found. I knew there had to be a closer one. I end up immediately crashing in one of their homes because it's storming outside, and I want to sleep through it so it goes away. Like the menace to society that I am, I spent all of day 62 picking the village clean of all its valuables. I mainly just get bread and some emeralds. Oh, and also all of their hay bales. Can't forget the hay bales. Since this village is closer to my base than the other one, I decided that now is the time I should get a second villager back home. I kidnap a villager by boat and start the journey back home. I don't get very far before the sun starts to set, and I realize that I didn't grab a bed. Leaving the villager in my boat, I ran back to the village for a quick rest. On day 63, I figured out a much faster strategy to get this villager home. Ultimately, it's still pretty slow, but it's a lot better than trying to boat him through land. I figured out that I can lure him in whatever direction I want with a job block, and then put the boat in his way so he gets stuck again. This process is what I spent all of the day doing, over and over and over until the sun started to go down. To avoid any monsters killing my new friend, I put my stolen bed down and slept. On day 64, I made it home with my second villager. I decided to bring this one to my tree farm area since I planned on setting my villagers up there. After I did get him there, though, I realized that I didn't think I could move my librarian without losing the mending book and his job progress. I knew I could just move my new villager to the main area, but I really didn't want a ton of villagers in there. I know I could also make some sort of villager transporting system with minecarts and rails, but I would need a lot of gold to craft the powered rails. So for now, the villagers were just staying separated. At night, I do my usual farming and get another mending book, which I put on my diamond pickaxe. Day 65, I built a home for the new villager using all the blackstone I got from the piglin trading. And of course, I break my legs again. This build is just as ugly as all my other ones, but it's at least better than my librarian's dirt shack. At night, I did my usual sugarcane and crop farming. At this point, if I don't mention anything special going on at night, you can just assume I'm farming. On day 66, I make my new villager a farmer. I made this choice because I had a good amount of food saved up from my farming, so I should be able to trade with one for a decent amount of emeralds. Sure enough, I make enough emeralds to trade my librarian for 2 more mending books. With those books, I put mending on my helmet and chest plate. I also go ahead and make a new bow and see that I can put power 3 on it if I get to level 30 again. An infinity bow is obviously very awesome, but you can't put mending on one. I had plenty of arrows, so I wanted another bow that I could put mending on and get power, and hopefully some other good enchantments on it. At night, I actually don't farm, surprisingly enough. I head into a surface cave and dig down from there because I'm getting kind of bored of my mine back home. I'd say I don't find anything too crazy, but then I'd be lying because I eventually ran into a zombie villager. I realized this is a great opportunity for my whole villager breeding problem and lure him back to the cave entrance. Day 67, I leave the zombie villager in a boat at the entrance and hope he doesn't despawn, because the sun is out and I don't want him to die. I'm also not super positive on how you're supposed to cure zombie villagers, on account of being a noob and all. And while I'm not allowing myself to look anything up during these 100 days, I know I've seen PaulGG cure a villager on more than one occasion, so I'm hoping I can figure it out. I stole a brewing stand from the first village I found a long time ago, so I placed that down because I know I need it to make potions. I also started smelting some sand because I know I need glass to make bottles for the potions. I also smelt my gold because I know I need to feed the villager a golden apple. I mean, I don't really understand why a golden apple helps cure zombieism, but that's just the way Minecraft works. On my first attempt, I put 3 empty bottles in the brewing stand with a spider eye and nothing happens. Then I remember I need water, so I fill the bottles up and try again. The results this time are mundane potions, so clearly that wasn't right. I'm fairly certain that I need a spider eye for this, so I search for spider in the crafting recipes and find a fermented spider eye. Now I know I need sugar and a brown mushroom. I can get sugar easily enough, but I couldn't remember ever seeing brown mushrooms anywhere, so that's kind of a problem. I decided to leave that alone for now and get the villager into my base while it was dark outside, but of course he brings a friend through my gate. It becomes quite the ordeal to get rid of the armored zombie because the two really like staying near each other, and I don't want to hurt the villager, but I get him taken care of eventually. Here's where things start to go wrong though. The strict parents must not approve of my new friend because they start attacking me. Problem is, the sun is starting to rise, and if I don't get the villager under some shade, the sun is going to burn him alive. Or dead? So even with the phantom slapping me around, I build around the zombie villager as best as I can and run home to go to bed. But I'm too late. But now that the sun is up on day 68, the phantoms actually end up burning and dying even though it was raining out. Honestly, I don't know why that happened, but I'm not going to complain. I start my day off by trading for another mending book, which I put on my leggings. That only leaves my boots, shovel, and maybe a bow to get mending on before I'm all set. I spent the rest of my day exploring. I wanted to find a swamp biome to get some brown mushrooms so I could craft a fermented spider eye. I don't have any luck finding a swamp, but I do find a new village at night. I end up sleeping there because running around in the dark when I don't have to is always risky. On day 69, I loot the village because no village is ever safe from me. Then I left and continued on my search for a brown mushroom. There isn't much to show you guys here because I still didn't even manage to find a swamp. I did, however, find some random structure with a chest that had an enchanted fishing rod inside it, so at least this exploration wasn't a complete waste of time. I make it back home at night and turn all the hay bales into wheat that I trade my farmer. That gives me enough emeralds to get another mending book from my librarian buddy. I put it on my boots and now I officially have a full enchanted diamond armor set with mending. I look pretty dang good if you ask me. I give up on trying to find a swamp, so on day 70 I head underground because I know mushrooms can grow down there as well. While in the mine, I get jump scared by a skeleton so badly I end up opening my inventory and then accidentally switching my food and shield around. Yeah, he got me pretty good. Skeletons aside, I find a cave I haven't explored yet, and inside this cave I spot the brown mushrooms I need. I'm able to collect them without any mobs giving me trouble. Once I'm back home, I get back to work on curing the zombie villager I've had trapped in dirt for days now. I craft up a fermented spider eye and throw it on the brewing stand. This time, instead of mundane potions, I get potions of weakness, which sounds like what I need. I try to give the potion to the zombie villager, but realize I can't do it with just a normal potion. It needs to be a splash potion. I'm not 100% positive on how to make one, but I tried gunpowder since the whole explosive thing kinda makes sense to me for a splash, you know? And it turns out my hunch was right. Now I had everything I needed. I threw one of the potions at him and fed him my golden apple. Then I just watched him freak out for a while. Until finally, the villager was cured. Leave it to me to look away right as he transforms too. Day 71 is move-in day for our new buddy. It's actually a bit of a pain getting him over to the tree farm area where the farmer is, because he keeps trying to go back to my house where I have some job blocks laying around. It ends up taking me almost all of the daylight to get him to his new home, but I make it happen. I decide to make my new villager a Fletcher, by the way, since Fletchers are a good source of emeralds. Once the sun starts to set, the new villager runs off like an idiot. I think he was trying to get to my bed, so I break it to hopefully reset the villager before I go to bed to deal with it in the morning. On day 72, I head back to my tree farm to check on my new villager, but he isn't there. I start to assume the worst until I find him outside my base's walls. I basically have to repeat yesterday and spend time wrangling him back to his home. Once I get him there with his job, I think he's gonna stay this time. I feed the new roommates some bread and witness the makings of a villager baby. It's, cute? At night, I actually use my tree farm for once. I craft up a bunch of sticks to trade with my Fletcher. Thanks to that, I get enough emeralds for another mending book, which I use on my shovel. Now my armor and all my main tools have mending. The only things missing are an axe, which I really don't usually carry around, and a bow. On day 73, I decided that since I already had 2 netherite scraps, I should at least try to get 2 more to make an ingot. So I spent the entire day back at the mob grinder to farm for some gunpowder. I'm able to get 41 after the entire day, which honestly doesn't seem very good at all, but I'm able to make 8 TNT with it. I later find out I had 5 gunpowder sitting in my chests at home, so I made 1 more TNT using that. Even though 9 blocks of TNT isn't gonna blow up much for me, on day 74, I go back to the nether. I just need to get 2 more ancient debris, so I'm hoping I can at least accomplish that much. Once I'm in the nether, I dig myself another hallway and blow it up. I must be crazy lucky, because 2 more blocks of ancient debris is exactly what I found. On day 75, I smelt the ancient debris and turned the scraps into a netherite ingot. Then I just had to figure out how to make netherite stuff. It didn't seem like I could use the ingot with any of my current crafting tools, so I flipped through my recipe book until I saw a smithing table. That one sounded promising. So I went ahead and made a smithing table, and sure enough, it's exactly what I needed. Since I only had 1 ingot, I decided to put it on my sword for the extra damage. For the rest of the day, I went to the mob grinder to mend my pickaxe back to full durability. And this is another moment where my noobness kicks in. I used my sword at the grinder until I realized that it isn't healing my pickaxe. So then I started to fight the mobs with my pickaxe, which was working, but it was pretty slow and also just felt kinda wrong. I eventually figure out that I can just hold my pickaxe in my offhand though, to get the mending effects while I fight with my sword. Once I figure that out, I get it fully repaired at night. At least I'm learning. On day 76, I visit my villagers in the tree farm and see that the baby is all grown up and that there's a new baby running around. I make the new villager a leather worker. There isn't any reason behind this, I just had the cauldrons I stole from the village. I also put down a stone cutter so the baby will be a mason when they grow up. There isn't a good reason for this either, it's just another job block I stole earlier. For the rest of the day, I become a lumberjack, chopping down trees to make sticks for the Fletcher. Day 77, I enchant a new bow with power 3 and grab all my arrows after putting my infinity bow away. I've got a good amount of normal arrows thanks to the mob grinder, plus the spectral arrows from the piglin trading, so I don't think I'll really need infinity right now. The rest of the day, as well as the next 10 days, are all gonna look the exact same. One thing I've never taken the time to do in Minecraft is fully level up a villager's profession, and now that I've got 5 villagers to call my own, I really wanted to get them all to master level. So for days 78 through 87, I do all the things you've seen me occasionally do throughout the 100 days so far. It's a lot of farming, chopping down trees, and grabbing sugarcane to make paper. On day 83 specifically, I get all my villagers to master level. The librarian ends up selling a compass, a clock, and a name tag. The Fletcher doesn't really have any cool deals, but he's an easy source of emeralds. I don't recommend having a leather worker, but he ends up selling saddles, which could be helpful, I guess. The mason is a good way to get rid of any extra andesite and diorite blocks, and he sells what I assume are good aesthetic building blocks. But you guys know I suck at building, so I don't really have any use for that. The farmer ends up selling golden carrots and glistering melon slices. I don't really know much about the melon slices, but I believe golden carrots are one of the best food items in the game, so that seems like it might not be a bad trade to do. Now I know you might be wondering, why do you have 4 more days after day 83 included in this if you just wanted to max out your villagers? That's because I have a project in mind that I want to work on, but I need a lot of emeralds to do it. So even though my villagers are maxed out, I continue spending my days farming and trading to get those sweet, sweet emeralds. Finally, on day 88, I start construction on my new project. It's actually nothing that extravagant, so some of you might be disappointed, but it's at least a change of pace. I want to build an emerald hut for my good chicken buddy that's been here with me for most of the 100 days adventure so far. I start laying out the emerald blocks I have, and even though I spent many days doing all that farming and trading, I realize I'm going to need a lot more emeralds. To minimize some of the total emerald blocks I need, I fill the hut's floor with blocks of iron. I also make some glass panes to give the emerald hut some windows. And I end up liking how it looks, so I add some window panes to the front of my house as well. I put the wood that the windows replaced on my floor. That's right guys, day 88 and my floor is almost finished. That's what I call progress. I'm sure you guys can already guess, but on day 89, I'm farming for more emeralds. Finally, on day 90, I finish my little emerald hut. It took a lot of wood and trades, and I don't even make it my signature cube style, but it's probably the best looking thing I've created so far. I know that's not saying much, but cut me some slack here, okay? I moved PaulGG2 inside, and since he can't push buttons, I don't have to worry about him running away anymore. I know it's kind of a prison for him, but we don't need to talk about that. On day 91, I decide it's time to do something I've never attempted before. Finding the stronghold, going to the end, and slaying the nether dragon. I grab everything I need and say my goodbyes to PaulGG2, my cows and chickens, my librarian friend, and the villager squad in the tree farm before leaving home behind. Once I got to a relatively flat area, I threw out my first eye, and it doesn't break, so that's good. I ran along in the direction it led me for quite a bit before my second throw, and it still doesn't break. Nice. On my journey, I passed through a biome that has a ton of brown mushrooms, and I just wanted to note that because it made me hurt a little bit. After I felt like I had traveled another long distance, I threw the eye for a third time and it still didn't break on me. I run into a village as the sun gets close to setting, and I decide it's best to sleep so I'm not trying to find the stronghold with mobs chasing after me. I wake up on day 92 and continue my journey to the stronghold. Even though that third time I threw the eye was pretty close to the village, I'm bad with directions and don't really remember where I entered the village, so I throw an eye again. This time, it breaks. When I throw an eye out for the second time, it actually floats out behind me. Now I know I'm close. Since I still have an eye to spare, I throw it a couple more times to get a better sense of where the stronghold is before I start digging down. I find a natural cave with a welcoming crew of like 5 skeletons and 2 creepers. But in this cave, I find the walls of the stronghold. I made my way inside and began to look for the portal room. This stronghold was a freaking maze though. It's the first stronghold I've ever been in, so I had no clue what signs to look for. And honestly, I was pretty terrified because I really didn't want to die after making it this far. I just did my best to search every corner as carefully as I could. Since some spots of the stronghold were weirdly mixed in with the cave, I even dug through the walls in some places to make sure the cave wasn't cutting any parts off. On day 93, I found out that that's exactly what happened. After feeling like I'd been through every part of the stronghold, I dig through a wall to find a treasure room with 3 creepers inside. I take care of them as safely as I can and open the door at the end of the hallway. While I'm distracted by a spider, a silverfish comes from the other side of the room and, wait a minute, a silverfish? That could only mean one thing. To my left, I found the portal room. I quickly broke the spawner before any more silverfish could come to greet me, and I plugged up the lava underneath the portal. I started to gather my courage up as I placed the eyes in the ring and opened up the portal. I took one last look behind me before turning to stare at the void and jumping in to the end. Portal spits me out into a cube of blocks, which is pretty fitting for how my builds usually look. I quickly dug out and purled over to the main area. With my trusty bow in hand, I got to work on destroying the healing towers. I'm able to shoot out all but 2, so I use my bucket of water to swim up one of the towers. Once I got to the top, I shot the other tower out before breaking the one next to me. Then it was time to take out the dragon. She happened to be perching when I got down from the tower, so I ran in beneath her and started smacking away. And because I can't seem to do anything without showing how much of a noob I am, I didn't even realize I was smacking her with my shovel until she was about to leave her perch. The shovel actually did a decent amount of damage at least. Then my strategy was to just wait until she perched. I do shoot at her with arrows when I can, but I'm honestly not the best shot, so I don't get that many hits that way. The second time the dragon perched, I made sure to use my sword this time, and get her to about 1/3 of her health before she flies away again. The third time the dragon perched, I had to pearl in, and then started swinging at her. And finally, slayed the ender dragon. I don't even get to celebrate during the death animation because a stupid enderman decided to attack me. Frickin' enderman, man. Before I leave, I do the torch trick thing to grab the egg. I don't really know what you're supposed to do with the egg, but since I know it's something you can get, I decide I should grab it. I also know there's some sort of portal thing nearby that I can pearl through to go to the end cities and maybe find an elytra, but that's a whole new unknown for me that I'm not ready to try. So after collecting the egg, I jump into the portal and view the Minecraft credits for the first time ever. I get spit back out in the village I slept in on the way to the stronghold. Oh man. Well, after slaying a dragon, I give myself a well-deserved sleep. I wake up on day 94 and realize that spawning at the village isn't actually a bad thing. It allows me to note down where the stronghold is in case I ever want to return, so I make sure to do that. The rest of the day is just spent running home. On day 95, I'm actually still just running home. At night, I pass over a familiar mountain, see some torches, and come up on my house. Man, I've missed this place so much. Once I get to my wood cube, I take a well-deserved rest once again. For the last 5 days of my tale, I spent them safely in my base, doing the farming and lumberjack lifestyle that I'd come to know and love. I really wanted to take it easy on these last days since I was really proud of what I'd managed to accomplish. I managed to get 5 master level villagers, a full set of enchanted diamond armor, enchanted diamond tools, and even a netherite sword. When I initially started on these 100 days, I really wasn't expecting to fight the ender dragon, and here I was at the end of my journey, making it look relatively easy, I think. So that's the end of my 100 days of hardcore Minecraft. I had a really fun time doing it and feel like I learned a lot about Minecraft. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like on this video and subscribe if you want to see more. Maybe 100 more days? If that's the case, leave me some ideas and suggestions because I'm not sure what I'd work on next. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all next time.